Hi, it's Sandy Parker. Welcome to Crafting for Almost Everyone. So I apologize that I've been out of touch a few days, but I had a little fall in the garage and tripped on a hose and ended up with a sprained ankle and a bruised knee, and so I wasn't able to put my foot down. So I apologize that I've been out of action, but I'm back. And I thought what I would do to start back is, I already got some blue ink under my fingernail in honor of this moment, so let's celebrate that. And I'm going to be making a bokeh technique, and I'm going to be using the old Distress Inks Worn Lipstick, Shaded Lilac and Squeezed Lemonade. And I'm also going to be using my brayer at first, and then I'm probably going to play around a little bit with different directions. Hopefully there's enough ink on this that we can get this thing rolling. Let me see if I did. It looks like there's a little bit of ink on there at least. And I'm not going to go in a pattern. I'm going to do something like that, and then go back over it a few times like that. And when you do this, you want to make sure that you're rolling but picking up at the end, so you don't end up having a big gap on your wheel. And I think that looks okay. I'm going to wet this in a minute to get it a little bit more to get it to even out. That's the word. Jeepers creepers, couldn't think of that word. And I have this piece of scrap paper on the side. I'm actually on a piece of plastic that's just kind of junk underneath, and the back of my cardstock doesn't matter either, so all in all, we're doing fine. I don't know if you saw that, but I just cleaned my brayer off on the paper, so my purple should be off, or my pink. Should have done my yellow first. You know, these are the things I don't think about. Squeezed lemonade, again, is what we're going for. I'm going to do that. Oh, moving. I'm going to put it on that paper too, just because this plastic, although it's flat, it's got, I don't know, debris on it from before, and it just doesn't want to play as well as I want it to. I'm going to put a little bit more right there. Okay, and then I'll clean this and go to the shaded lilac. I'm going to do shaded lilac on both the bottom little section right there, a little bit more, and up in the top. Now this is watercolor paper, if I didn't say it, and I think it's like 4.5 by 6, but I'm going to be cutting it down, so at this point it doesn't truly matter the shape of your paper. And I'm going to be using some of my Distress sprayer to wet this, and I'm going to be using a makeup sponge or just a sponge of some kind to move my ink around a little bit. I just want to clean it or get it so that it's more even across the top. If you've never seen makeup sponges like this, they come in a bag where they're triangular shaped. You can get them at the Dollar Tree or Walmart, pretty much any place that sells makeup. I'm going to take my ink on my makeup sponges, and I'm just going to dab it around here so that I do even everything out, because right now I'm not loving it. I need it to get to the point where it's more fun than it is right now. It's not too fun. And I'll just kind of do that. Then I'm going to flip it over. And again, could have gone in with the yellow first, but didn't. And I'm going to wet this end of my sponge because it'll pick up the ink a lot better if it's wet. And I'm just going to I've got to get the ink out from under my fingernail. I just noticed that right before I started, and you know how that goes. I forget as soon as my as soon as I start thinking about what I'm going to do next, I completely forget about hygiene. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I'm going to rip that in half and turn it like the Frugal Crafter does it. She bends them in half like that. And I'm going to do the same thing. Okay. Ooh, made a run for it. Alrighty. So you're probably wondering how my ugly background went from what it was to this. And I'll tell you how I did it. I took the purple out of my Koi watercolors and I liquefied it, and then I just covered the whole thing with that dark purple, and that's what it came out like. So it looks a lot better than it did, and I'm a lot happier than I was with it. So our next step in this, it's dry. Oh, it's really bugging me. I just still haven't cleaned my finger. It's bugging me. The next step is to make the bokeh effect. And how you do that is you take circles of different sizes, and I have this little marshmallowy thing. I have this, and I have this great big one. And I'm going to put something really foamy underneath it. I want it to really absorb the ink. See how I completely forgot the word ink? Anyway, so my plan, I got this big piece of foam, and I have I have 4 different shapes. So you can imagine that you can do this with just about anything, because I'm going to be using an eraser, I'm going to be using this, the marshmallowy thing, and the great big circle. I need to put a piece of paper under this, because if I don't, I'm going to end up with that mess everywhere, which I probably will anyway. So I have my paper for underneath it, and I'm going to use Unicorn White. It's a pigment ink from Hero Hues. You want to make sure with a pigment ink that you either air dry it overnight, or you dry it with your heat tool, or you put embossing powder on it and heat set it that way. Those are your options. So I'm gonna, first of all, I'm gonna go in with my marshmallowy thing and see if I can really get it inked up well and try to get a good circle out of it. And you're not normally supposed to do that spinning around, but I have better luck to get these things really well inked by doing that. I'm just gonna try and get a really good impression. Oh, that's a good circle. Okay, then I'm going to get my huge circle that I made. If you didn't see this video, I made my own foam stamps, and they were a lot of fun to make, and they're a lot of fun to use. I wasn't sure I'd ever use them again, but it's only been, this is maybe a week after the fall that or after the last video that I'm putting this on. So it is something I guess I am going to be using. And you can see that those little dashes in the middle. Those are from fingernails. So you want to be careful with those foam stamps because if you get your fingernail jabbed into it, you end up with those little marks. Now I think I'm going to heat set that, and after I heat set it, I'm going to see if there are any of the Distress inks that I think I would like, the Distress pigment inks, no, the Distress Oxides that I want to add. of something I might want to do instead. I have some purple mica powder. Maybe I'll do a little of each, I don't know, but I thought it would be fun for us to play with this a little bit and see if I can get some fun sparkles out of it. Alright, I'm going to go and get a Swiffer and wipe this off and see how it looks after we're done with the Swiffer. I know you're thinking to yourself, hey, what happened now? Well, here's what happened. I accidentally had a little bit of water on the cloth that I used to wipe it off, and it smeared everything around. So what I thought I would do is try the Oxide inks. Oh, in the meantime, I cleaned my finger. I thought that'd make you happy. And I thought I would try the Worn Lipstick and the Wilted Violet, and we'd give them a try and see if there's, maybe I'll just try Worn Lipstick, and see if there's any hope for me with this card, or if it needs to go in the trash. At this point, it might be a trashy one because I haven't been able to find anything that made it look decent so far. So that's the iffy part. I'm not sure yet. So let's try the pink and see what we can come up with. And then I'm going to clean that off. If you remember how you clean it, all you do is just spray it with a little bit of water, and it just the ink just falls right off of it. I'm going to try a little of the purple, see what we get with it. Alright, I know you're going to find this super hard to believe, but this thing is not a garbage item. Can you see the sparkle in that? It's amazing to me. Can you see those sparkles? If you can't, I'm trying to get them in the light so you can. Pretty cool. And what I thought I would do is from this Hampton Arts set, maybe it's Hero Arts, hold on, I get confused by that. It's Hero Arts. It's called Happy. I use the Happy die, and I'm going to use the sentiment Happy Mother's Day, I think, because I thought it'd be nice to send my sister a card for Mother's Day. And then I punched it out 3 times. And I'm going to put this one on the bottom because it's kind of hacked up. And I'm using some Stampin' Up. It's a glue pen that I don't think they even sell anymore. But I'm trying to get it to come out. And that's always a tricky part for me, to get anything to come out. And then as soon as it does, it sticks on me. We all know that rule, don't we? Now it's coming out. Okay. So then I'm going to put this Happy on top of that one. That is weird. Well, I have it in the glue. I have to realign. Okay. I was confused. I thought the H was the Y was the H, because you know that's how I roll. I get a little confused about these things. I know other people use tools to line things up, but I've always felt that I'm better with just using my fingers for things like this, because I know when I do that everything is stuck down and lined up well. So we've got our happy, and I'm going to dry that with my heat gun. I'm going to take it off the camera to do that, because you know I will end up having this thing fly all over the place. So I'm going to be stamping Mother's Day in this unicorn white, so hopefully it'll show up on my background. And then I'm going to use white embossing powder on it. I want to use my stuff to make sure nothing sticks, because if I don't, I'm afraid this is really going to be iffy. Got a lot of it on there. Anyway, I'm going to use the white unicorn pigment ink, and then I'm going to heat set it with white Ranger embossing powder. Could be Hero Arts embossing powder. Could be just about anything. Let's see, what is it? It's Ranger white embossing powder. I've been having a heck of a time with this white embossing powder lately. It's like bubbling up and not really showing up well on what I'm using it on, and so I'm hoping. I shook it. I watched a video. I don't even remember who did it, but I wanted to find out what you do if you have embossing powder that just doesn't want to play with you, and they said you shake it really well, and that sometimes that makes it, you know, like maybe that the stuff that you need to be together isn't in the right place, because you know it all settles over time. I don't know. I'm going with what they said, but bottom line is, you know, with me, there's always a good chance that it's not going to work well. This looks pretty good, though. Let's hope that it heat sets well. I'm turning on my heat gun. Normally I heat from the back because it does a better job of melting it, but I'm doing it from the front this time because this is 140-pound Fabriano Hot Press, and I want to make sure that it does a nice job. That's pretty good. That it did a nice job, and I was afraid if I went through the back it would be too thick of paper to be able to really accomplish what I wanted to. So that's that step, and then we're going to put our happy above it. I have this paper. Let me get that out of the way. I have this paper that has glue on that end, so I'm moving it around, and then I'm going to use the Wilted Violet Distress Oxide, which is what I used in my background. And I'm using my Distress Oxide brush, and I'm going to kind of hit my happy with it. I thought it would be, it would make it look more dimensional. Since my background already looks pretty dimensional and isn't in the trash, which I'm shocked by, because if any card should have gone in the trash, it was definitely that one. And this video should give all of you hope for the future of any project that you've done, because that was not pretty. Okay, let's hope I can get it back off this, because I know the back is sticky. That's pretty good. Let's see if I get that off. Okay. Now I'm going to take my, I think I'm going to, before I apply that, I think I'm going to let it sit and dry, and I think I'll apply my Mother's Day to my base. I also think, I'm going to round my corners, and I'm going to use my envelope board for it. I usually use my Creative Memories corner rounder for this, but when you're talking 140-pound card, it's too thick for me to really effectively punch it. So I'm using this, and it does a better job. Okay, So our next step is to round the corners on the card. And as I was saying, it's difficult sometimes to round the corners on this part of the card, you know, on the folded part. So if you do like to round those, I suggest getting something more substantial to punch with, like this, because it does make the job a lot easier if you have any problems with your hands. If you don't, then I'm sure you can use just about anything, but this gives you the leverage that other tools, don't seem to give you. Now, if your corners aren't exactly straight, and by that I'll show you what I mean. If you have like little sharp edges like this, you want to get one of these nail brush or nail files and just go around your edges and just kind of make sure that anything that was a little bit sharp that you clean up, so that when you look at your card, you are happier with the way it looks. I'm going to just do one more edge. Let me look at this one, see how it looks. I'm going to do that bottom edge. Okay, so here is that part of our card, and I'm going to get, yes, it's coming out, the foam tape that just won't quit. Okay, all in favor of getting rid of that stuff? Just say aye, because I've had enough of that stuff. Okay, there's that, and now let's look at our happy. It's pretty cute. I also want to go over my happy with, and I know you're going to be shocked by this, I'm whipping out the mica again, or else should I just do, no, I'm going to do the mica. The mica's a lot easier. You just take, I'm going to take a brush this time. It's just a very inexpensive, and I mean inexpensive brush, and I'm using my pink mica because it is the most glittery that I have. And I'm just going to get a little bit, and I'm going to rub it on my mat, and then I'm going to go over my happy with it and see if I can get it to stick. I'm sure I can get it to stick. It's stuck everywhere else already, so now it's just a matter of getting it to stick where I want it. Maybe I'm going to do a little Wink of Stella there too. You're going to get the Spectrum Noir markers that are like Wink of Stella, look like this. If you haven't used them, it has this little green piece. In order to get them to work, what you do is you take it apart, you pull that little greenish, it's like neon yellow, piece out, and then it will be ready to work. Yep, pretty dry. Okay. Now I'm going to get this out of the way because it is a problematic kind of thing, and I'm going to get a different glue because I want to be able to see it well. It's a white glue, but it dries nice and matte, so you don't see it. I do have the multi-matte medium, but I don't feel like opening it because I haven't opened it yet. And I'm just going to put little drops of this. It has a very fine tip applicator on it, so I want to just put little drops on my letters so that it stays in place, but not a lot because you don't want it to squirt out from under. Even though I do have 3 or 4 layers of cardstock here, I still don't want anything to squirt out from under it. And figure out where I want to put it. Oh, of course I have a little hair from my head right in the middle of that. How lovely. Just what I wanted. Or it could be from that brush. Could be. Okay, I'm going to put my happy right above. I think I'm going to see if I can pretty good? Okay. I'm going to put a little bit more of this Wink of Stella-ish from my Spectrum Noir markers because I want to get rid of the pink that's in the tip here, and also I want to make sure that my sparkles are as sparkly as I can get them on the background here. Because if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Well, I'm happy that this thing is almost done. I don't know about the rest of you, but let me just tell you, I did not think that this was ever going to be something that we would see the end of. I am going to be using some of this Wink of Stella-ish from my Spectrum Noir markers, and I'm going to take some of the pink out of my pink LA Colors. Oh, look at that's where the hairs are coming from. This brush. This brush sheds like nobody's business. Let me just tell you. We're going to put a little bit more in here, and then hopefully those hairs will come off too, or they won't. It looks like most of the hairs came off. I'll go across it one more time with my brush just to kind of get everybody settled in. Okay. And that's that. So here's our envelope. Ooh, it's very glittery. And here's our card. Oh, I forgot to stamp the back. Uh-oh. I'm going to have to stamp this. I'm using my new stamp because people have been asking for it. Made for you by Sandy Parker. There you go. And here's my card that should have gone into the trash, but didn't. So I hope you enjoyed this video and that you'll give it a thumbs up and subscribe and tell your friends about me on social media. Actually, just tell one friend. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.